Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps,
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him as Vostradamus.
Of course that Kevin show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be that Donald show. But we don't have that, so we have that Kevin show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. And yet to come this hour on That Kevin Show, they are trying to keep your youth from being stolen. Carol Markowitz and Bethany Mandel. A little bit later, he had the #1 Super Bowl commercial this year, Brad Hill. And back to the spotlight stage, Kristen Getty and Sky Peterson. And now, from Times Square, home of the 300-pound barfing beer-bellied leprechaun not named St. Patrick, here's that Kevin.
Of all the awesome things that we do in celebrating St. Patrick's Day, and that's what announcer guy Dave came up with, what's wrong with you? Good grief. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day is this upcoming week, and it's going to be quite the thing. We go from SantaCon in the Christmas cycle, where you've got Santa's partying and getting drunk and going all over the city, to everyone being Irish for a day and doing the same thing. Anyway, welcome. It's Kevin McCullough. Glad you're with us. Hour number 2. If you missed anything in hour number 1, you know the podcast is always available for you, so please go back and get it. Very thankful to have Arthur Aidala with us, and love the music of Kristen Getty and Sky Peterson. We've got more of that on the way this hour as well. Now, you may have noticed that we live in a very interesting age. There are people that are very upset about certain things, and I mean ragey. When you're talking about whether or not you can use someone's pronouns or not, depending on who you're talking to, you're going to get an eyeful, maybe a fistful of reasons why you should see it their way. But it's not very often that people will resort to actual violence. At least I hope it's not. It's not been my experience, although I will say this week in New York proved to be very interesting. First of all, we had this amazing couple of nights where the bride and I were able to go and be with friends and see some really amazing stuff. And I want to kind of like highlight some of the good stuff that a couple of our friends have done this week. The Independent Women's Forum and Kelsey Bowler, who is on my show weekly, talking about issues that moms care about for sure, and that even as she was a young single, conservative woman just a few years ago, she was already thinking about. But she has put together this documentary called Identity Crisis, and the kind of crisis of gender ideology in the schools and what that's doing to kids that would never even be questioning what their gender is. It's kind of a ridiculous thing to question, actually, because your anatomy tells you what you are. There's nothing you can do to change your DNA. If you are born with male parts, you're going to be a male until you die. You can take all the hormones you want. You can have all the surgeries you want. You get hit by a bus and they come and scrape up your body off the road. They're going to show you that your DNA is still going to register as male. It's never going to change. So that fully can't ever be changed. Your sex determines what you are. Similarly, now we've got this big push by the government pushing down, saying if a kid questions his sex, that you should only affirm whatever the questioning leads them to, which is kind of, I don't know, ridiculous. And so the night after Independent Women's Forum came to New York City and demonstrated their documentary, the two best-selling authors, Carol Markowitz and Bethany Mandel, came the next night to sign their books. And in the middle of their presentation, as they are there welcoming people to come and see their book and just congratulate them on the good job done of writing this. And it's a book that's all about CRT, and we're going to get into it here in just a couple of segments. There were people that got wind that the party was going down. They came, they saw the poster, they Googled the name of the book, they decided to protest, and in Michael Scott classic Office fashion, they threw a glass against the wall that did not break. They were trying to express how upset they were, and yet they could not even break a glass as they were trying to express that degree of upsettedness, which really, at the end of the day, you just have to say is just plain hilarious. Now, in addition to this week on The View, another woman, supposedly speaking on behalf of women, for the good of women, for the good of women's children, etc., Jane Fonda, came up with a different solution for people that oppose her viewpoints on certain issues.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have. We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
I think the women will rise up.
That's the activist.
That's Jane speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
Very soon.
It is the truth. We're not going to do it.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She's kidding. Wait a second. She's just kidding.
Don't say that. That's
you don't know. They'll pick up on that and just run with it.
That's the worst.
She's just kidding.
Well, let me talk to you about.
Jane Fonda, the activist, the actress, the, I don't know, icon, whenever she was, suggesting murder for people that disagree with her on the issue of whether or not abortion should be legal. Now, she's talking about agency of her own body. First of all, the woman's 165 years old. When is she going to even need an abortion from here on out? Her 3 children are too old to need them anymore. They're all in their 50s and 60s. At the end of the day, this issue is going to be determined by people that are living and currently in need of what they're talking about now. And you know what the women of today want? Who do you think drove the pro-life message that got to the Supreme Court that eventually saw Roe v. Wade overturned? And, oh, by the way, the decision to provide abortions legally just only reverted back to the states. It didn't ban anything. It didn't turn anybody down, et cetera, et cetera. It simply went back to the states. Who do you think drove that? Who do you think populates the March for Life every year? Hundreds of thousands of people showing up. What do you think about 65 to 70% of that crowd is? Women. Women do not, in large majority, want to kill their babies. That's not how they think about this. And they don't want to see their kids sexualized in school. They don't want to see them transitioned. They will hold their hand and help them in the detransitioning, but they don't want CRT and this gender ideology and lockdowns and masks and all the rest of it taking over their kids' lives. And that's what these really admirable women, Carol Markowitz, Bethany Mandel, Kelsey Bowler, the Independent Women's Forum, that's what they were all in New York talking about this week. And I couldn't have been more proud than to understand and to realize we have these really talented ladies on my shows all the time. And they are fighting. They are fighting for their family. They are fighting for their children. They are fighting for your children. They are fighting for the next generation to be able to have their children and have them in a healthy, loving environment that isn't going to try to destroy them. Most significantly, by trying to turn them against you, their loving parent. Jane Fonda may think, oh, murder is the way to handle the people we disagree with. I'm kind of not of that opinion. I'm kind of the opinion that we need to probably show more compassion and less rigidity when it comes to your way of thinking. And right now, all of the rigidity is on the side of the gender ideology. It's all on the side of the pro-murder, pro-choice, pro-abortion side. None of it. None of it. None of the compassion is being heard from that side. Anyway, we've got a big show. Speaking of CRT, gender ideology, Carol Markowitz, Bethany Mandel join me next.